We're live. We're live. Oh. I do a little live dance, Bob, when I have people come on.
I can't think. I will trust you to be the dancer in the interview.
Perfect. This is me letting it roll and letting people know we're live. And we are live right now with Bob Burgen. I am so excited to have you this morning. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. And by the way, this is what Bob looks like on Sunday. He doesn't shave. I was just telling Carolina, I'm halfway through a workout, coming in here for an interview. If I'm huffing and puffing, I swear to you, it's just from working out. That is it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to me about the masks behind you, because those are awesome. Or fake.
I collect life masks of performers that I admire. So it's hard to do backwards, but that's Anthony Hopkins, that's Alfred Hitchcock, and that is Jack Nicholson, and that's Vincent Price, and that is Buster Keaton, and back there is Bela Lugosi, and above Bela Lugosi is Bob Hope. I'm sorry, that's Robin Williams. That's the mask that was used in Mrs. Doubtfire when they were taking the mask off of him. And that is Bob Hope, and Boris Karloff, and James Cagney, and Marlon Brando, and above that is Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr.
Holy cow! That's incredible.
I know.
So are these often for sale? How does this work?
I auction online, and I won't pay top dollar. So there's a lot out there that I still want, but I'm too cheap to get them what they're offered for. But this is what I've got. Right, I can tell you what I'm hoping to try to get. I want to get Al Pacino. He's available somewhere. I want to get Jerry Lewis. Don't yell at me because I'm a Jerry Lewis fan. You know how this all started? I was like, I wonder if there's a life mask of Mel Blanc. Now, why would there be a life mask of Mel Blanc? And I couldn't find one, but I found one of Jack Nicholson, and that was the first one I got. And Jack Nicholson did not want to wear makeup when he played the Joker. So he wanted to prove that he could have that smile without the prosthetic makeup. So he had this made, and the producers were like, yeah, thank you so much for the attempt, but we want makeup. So, and that's how this whole collection started.
Holy cow. Are there a lot of these out in the world, or they make like 5 and that's it?
So I don't know the actual, I mean, they all start from a master cast. So I don't know what is very first one. I don't care actually. But what I'll tell you is that back in the studio system days, in the contract days, which ended in the 70s, every actor had to sit for a life mask, just in case they had to use any prosthetic makeup for a future character or a character in pre-production. And that way the actor didn't have to sit there trying on ears and noses and whatnot. And then they could sit the actor down and see how it worked.
That's so smart. I mean, I know they do it so much for Star Wars and all the shows that need these. But no, I didn't realize it was just to try stuff on back in the day, which is really
well. It's great if you're planning on doing a character in a live action movie. It could be a combination of prosthetic and CGI. But you've got John. So you're not on a contract studio for future work. That's what these were.
Oh, that's incredible. So inspiring that you have those up there.
Carolina, if you care, if you're interested, and see if I can do this across the way. I've got James Dean and Katharine Hepburn wearing a Little House on the Prairie bonnet from my friend Alison Arngrim. So
that is amazing.
And lots of other memorabilia over there that is part of my career in life.
Yes, and I see Porky Pig up there, so I'd love to jump into that. Space Jam just came out.
Yes, it did.
And you went to a red carpet and a live screening, which we haven't been able to do in a year and a bit. That must have been really exciting.
I had not even been to a restaurant. Okay, so those of us who went to this live event, we had to get a COVID test a few days before. And I was literally walking around terrified. I tried not to look terrified, but everyone's hugging and drinking and laughing and loving, and all was good. I had another COVID test on Friday of this past week because I did a job that needed a COVID test, and I'm fine.
That's great. That's great. We are going back to masks in LA indoors, but they are doing a ton of testing for these events to be able to happen, which is
right.
good and exciting.
Right.
You've been posting a lot of things on Instagram about, reminiscing about the first Space Jam and the recording and your jacket. And I guess I wanted to know what you're excited about for this movie that people can know about, that, like, the changes that you found that were interesting, or homages that were being paid that are just beautiful.
Well, first of all, people have to understand that I only got to see the parts I'm in when it came to recording the script. I never saw a full script. I never knew the story. I didn't, and I'm only voicing Tweety in the movie. I'm not doing any of the characters. But I didn't know how. I mean, I recorded each line, each scene, dozens of times, and I'll show you where I did it. Right there in that booth. I recorded the entire movie in my home studio because it started during COVID. So, or during my part during COVID. One of the most enjoyable recordings sessions I've had, because Malcolm and Troy and Spike and Tony, I mean, these are just fun people to work with. What has changed from the first film, other than the cast, is technology.
Yeah.
You know, technology, when the first movie came out, seeing these characters in CG, for many, they had a lot of negative reviews the first film because it was jarring to see them outside of hand-drawn 2D.
Yeah.
Well, as hand-drawn 2D, and then it takes the CGI to another level because the characters have fur. So, technology, I think, is the biggest difference in this.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I just rewatched the first one because I'm excited to watch the second one. And I mean, I don't think I'd watched it in a very long time, probably since it came out and I was a kid. So I think that, it was just fun to also see that, but also, because so much time has passed, to get to see like how, like you said, technology has changed and now it's so much more realistic. So you voiced Tweety. Are there ever moments where they write a line and you go, Tweety wouldn't say that like that? Do you feel like you know these characters so well that you like, can I try this differently? Or like, you know, yeah.
To the point, and you know, here's the deal. You don't want to insult the writers. You don't want to insult the whole process that got to you to record that moment. You know, they're married to this property. So I always give it as written, the way they want. But I'll say, hey, can I try one for me? And by the way, not just Space Jam, but anything I'm doing with a character that I've done long enough to where I mean, I know Porky Pig better than I know myself.
Yeah.
More comfortable doing Porky than I am just recording a commercial as myself, even though I'm pretty comfortable recording a commercial as myself. But what I will tell you is, Malcolm, our director, we have lived quite a bit. Try it this way, try it this way, and I would try it that way. And he goes, oh, okay, now try it this. So it was so creatively collaborative. What ended up on the screen, I don't even remember what the scripts were because they're so long ago. And also a lot of the stuff we recorded didn't make the final cut, but that's like any movie or TV show. You know, they have to fit into the time. They have to, this joke didn't work, or this joke worked really well, but it's too long. So, you know, a lot of stuff just doesn't get on the screen.
Yeah. I was looking at your IMDb and your Wikipedia, and it's insane. It's insane. And I keep scrolling and I keep seeing things, and, you know, obviously main characters, but then wallet groups, and, you know, like you've just been in every single animation thing that could exist. I'm curious, the beginning of Porky and Tweety and Marvin and Sylvester and even Speedy Gonzalez, like when you start seeing if this is a voice that you can do, is it just a bunch of listening to Mel Blanc and going, this is how that was, and making it your own? Because they all have slight variations that are more you or more Eric Bauza or more whatever, but they're also so authentic, right? And is that what you do? You spend a ton of time going back in the day, because obviously you've done this for so long.
Right.
I'm curious of the beginning process of Bob Burgen finding this.
Porky was something I was doing since I was a kid. Porky was the reason I got into this business to begin with. So it was literally just circumstance and luck that I happened to be in the city, in the industry, working with an agent who had the clout when opportunity arose. Mel Blanc passed away in '89, and my first job was Tiny Toons in 1990. So I was already a working actor when they held their first round of auditions for this character. Yeah. I can even want to hear a little bit of my first audition.
Yes, all of this is fun.
First audition in my agent's office, which led to callback after callback after callback. I remember the first line was, "Gosh, Sylvester, isn't this a lovely airplane? I've always wanted to fly on a big Boeing jet, Boeing 747." So I remember that was my first audition. And then I had callback after callback after callback after callback. Now, none of us who voice these characters have a lifetime contract, which is apparent when you see that the credits change over and over and over. And I've had to re-audition. I mean, I was working on the HBO Max shorts doing Porky when they made me audition for this Space Jam 2 movie. So, this is showbiz. That's how this works. My process for Porky has changed over the years. I mean, I auditioned to get the job and I knew the character very well. I remember at early sessions, they would play me like a 15, 20-minute reference tape of Porky, of Mel Blanc.
Oh, Mel, okay.
No, Blanc. Some from the 30s, some from the 40s, some from the 50s. And I would say to them, "What do you want?" And they said, "Well, they're all Porky." I said, "No, they're all Porky who evolved over the years as Mel Blanc evolved, as the writers." And by the way, Chuck Jones' Porky was different from Chris Freeling's Porky, from Bob Clampett's Porky. I said, "What do you want?" And they would look at each other like they didn't know what I was talking about.
And you're like, "I got a really good ear, and I know they're very different."
And so here's where I land with Porky. If I'm not given the direction, or if I'm not told what to do, my happy Porky place is about 1952 to 1956. It's Duck Dodgers, Robin Hood Daffy, Drip Along Daffy. It's that era of Porky, where primarily Chuck Jones, where he was still the same character, but he developed a little bit more of a personality. It's the Porky I did in the series Duck Dodgers, okay? For the HBO Max cartoons, we're doing more of a Bob Clampett era of Porky. So my happy space is that early to mid 50s Porky Pig. But because I'm not necessarily producing or directing, not necessarily, I never do, I give them what they want.
Yeah.
That's what an actor does.
Yeah. And so it's just so interesting that so many of you who've done a lot of these characters, it's almost like you have this like Looney Tunes chip that allows you to do Tweety and Sylvester and Daffy and Bugs, because you have this obvious ease with language and you have a great ear. But they are very different characters.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating that you click into them so easily.
Well, you said the key word. They're characters. They're not voices. So I'll go to a fan convention and someone will stand in front of me and give me my voices. And I'm like, and they want my opinion. And I'll usually say to them, "That was pretty good." I did a Vanity Fair interview like right before COVID. And I say, "Oh, if you really want to master a character, be it classic or one that you created, read the front page of the newspaper, read a magazine article. If you do a great Homer Simpson, but you can read the front page of the New York Times as Homer Simpson, and the story is still the most important, relevant part of what you're doing, then you own that character. If all you can say is, "No," well, then you just do catchphrases. And most people who do classic characters, I'll give you, you want some tidbits from the original film?
I want it all. I want it all.
People have heard these stories, but I'm going to tell you because you may not have.
No, and I know you've told these stories a bunch. We have a bunch of really young voice actors and fans watching who have not, and so I'm excited for them. But I know that you, unfortunately, have told them a bunch, so I apologize for that. But we're very engaged.
No, that's okay. I don't mind.
The chat is very excited.
Okay. So for one of our callbacks for the original Space Jam, they handed out Shakespeare because they figured anybody can mimic. That's all, folks. Oh, you bad old pretty tat. Anybody can do the catchphrases, okay?
Yeah.
But if you can do Shakespeare in character and still keep the integrity of Hamlet or whatever, well, I'm at LA Studios, which is in Studio City, in the lobby, passing out these scripts, and everyone's expecting scripts from Space Jam, and we got Shakespeare, and I'm watching my competition's eyes freaking out, and I'm thinking, "Oh, this is great. This I could do this in my sleep." So at that point, I was like, I didn't know if this was the final round. I didn't know where they were in their seeking of characters and actors, but I knew I was going to win this round.
Yeah. Do you have a sonnet memorized that you could?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it was Hamlet.
It's to be or the opposite. That is the question, folks.
Oh my God! I mean, we could watch this all day. It's so wonderful. Thank you for giving us these little tidbits.
Sure.
We do have a fan from Turkey saying hello. Very excited to be here and watching live. I grew up in Colombia in South America, and I used to watch Looney Tunes
the planet
in English. I hated the dubbed version, but most of the time on kids channels it was dubbed, so I had to deal with that. But I always preferred the English versions. So I'm curious if in Turkey you listen to it in Turkish or in English. Let me know. And we do have a question from D23 Mon about Spirited Away, and I'm curious about that.
I've got a no face right there behind me, right there. There we go.
Oh God, I love all the stuff that I'm seeing behind you. What was one of your favorite memories from Spirited Away? And it's just such a classic film to be a part of.
Spirited Away, I was cast by the amazing Nikki McGowan, who had cast me in many a Disney and Pixar film. This was the English dub was produced by Pixar, John Lasseter, that crew. And I didn't audition for it. I was just told that I'm to come to Disney and I'm doing the voice of a frog. I said, okay. And during the process of recording the frog who pops up at the beginning of the film, somebody said, No Face eats the frog. And No Face takes on the personality of the frog. So we should have him voice No Face too. I went, okay. That's how I got the part. Honestly, it was, I didn't audition. It wasn't callbacks. I wasn't biting my nails. That's literally how I got the part.
Were you a fan of anime? Were you a fan of Miyazaki? Like, was this exciting, or was it just this gig that was cool, but you didn't really know who this guy was at the time?
It was a gig. I didn't know who he was because I had done a cartoon and a series of cartoons. I think one of the first anime films I did was called Castle of Cagliostro, which was Lupin III. Yeah. And I think Miyazaki's first film, I think. So when I was a kid, I was a fan of Speed Racer, and I didn't know it was anime. I just knew they talk weird. Why are they talking so fast? And all of a sudden, for no reason, they go, ha! Well, because there's a mouth flap, and they wanted to fill it with something. I've done some anime. The last anime thing I think I did was Ponyo, also for Pixar and Disney. It's hard. Anime's hard work.
It's hard.
You don't do anime to make a ton of money. You do it because you love doing it, and you spend your weekends with anime fans. Are the biggest, diehard, most wonderful people on the planet. God love you, people. It's hard work, and it should pay better. But I had a blast on Spirited Away. I just didn't understand it.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, so the little girl goes to a diner. Her parents turn into pigs. She's taken to this bathhouse run by spirits, right? Yeah, that's it. And then what happens? So I took my manager to the screening, cast and crew screening, and she looked at me at the end. She goes, I said, but I can see that was all cell drawn. That was before CGI. That is pure art, no matter how you spot, and pure imagination. I loved playing No Face. Because I had things in the back of my mind. I said, what's he thinking when he walked around going, what's he thinking? What's going on? They're like, we don't know. I'm like, okay.
You know.
Okay.
Confuse it with something.
I did. At one point I was like, where's the restroom in my mind? At one point I was like, I was thinking, I wonder what's on cable tonight. I mean, seriously. Acting is reacting. You gotta give yourself something to react to, otherwise you're just making noises.
Where is the bathroom? I recently heard a story with some voiceover ladies, because we're talking about recording and then, what happens when the producers are going, okay, let's go again. Can you tell us the story of perhaps maybe you taking in a recorder to a session once? Yeah. I would love to hear from you.
About 18 or 19, and if you go to a live audition or session, there's a piece of glass between you and the engineer and the writers and the director, etc. And unless they push the talkback button, you don't know what they're saying. I wanted to know what they were saying. So I put a tape recorder in my backpack and I laid it down next to the director. And I go into the booth and I do a take. And so you're me now, okay? I'll pretend like director and this is the talkback button.
Right.
So this is what I saw from my perspective. And imagine that there's another producer right here next to me. So you're Bob, you do a take, and this is what
I'm doing my thing.
Hello.
It wasn't Porky. I do remember Porky was years before I ever got a pick. This is what I saw. Bob, that was great. Can you hang on for 1 second? Seriously, you loved it. Don't go away. Don't go away. Hang on for 1 second. Seriously, we loved it. Okay, so I'm thinking the glass is clear. I can see you people. You hated what I was doing. It's very clear. Here's what I heard on my tape recorder. That was great, Bob. Can you hang on for a second? Seriously, we loved it. Okay, did you ask for anchovies on the pizza for lunch? God, I hate fish on pizza. My breath smells like fish. I'm probably offending this poor actor. Hang on for 1 second. Seriously, we loved it. So, from that moment on, you pay no attention to the man or the woman behind the glass. They might be not pushing that talkback button, talking about lunch, shopping, whatever, but actors are paranoid and insecure. So you never know what they're talking. And today, we don't even go places to audition or work. I audition 99% from my home studio, and because of COVID, I'm working from my home studio. But you got to check that paranoia at the door, because not everyone's gonna like you. Even if what they were saying was he sucks, let's call Rob Paulson, he's better, which by the way he is. But the bottom line is, things that are out of your control, why sweat? Why stress?
Yeah. And you were really, really young here. Did you started pursuing voice acting straight out of the gate from high school? Like, what, Bob Burgen as a kid, were you imitating your parents constantly or doing voices when you played action figures? Like, what led you to say, oh, I think I'm kind of good at this. Let's give it a shot in LA, or what city was this?
This was originally St. Louis and then Cincinnati. My mom tells a story that it was like 3, watching Saturday morning cartoons, and she'd be in the kitchen doing whatever she was doing. I was in the living room, and she'd hear a line in a cartoon, and she'd hear the line again. And she thought that's odd. And she was standing behind me watching me mimic the cartoons back to the TV. And then I told my parents I wanted to be Porky Pig when I was 5, and my mom said, you can't be Porky Pig, you're Jewish. Okay. We were lousy Jews, because I had a Christmas tree next to the menorah. We moved to Cincinnati when I was 8. I was obnoxious. Teacher would ask me a question in school, and I would answer like Porky Pig. Or I would mimic the teacher.
Porky's been in your life since you were a kid. This is insane.
Yeah, Porky was an obsession, and Porky's the reason why I wanted to get in this business. We moved to LA when I was 14, not for me to be a voice actor, but my dad took a job here. So I just picked up the phone and I called Hanna-Barbera, Disney. I found Mel Blanc. I just started making phone calls and said, how do I do this? What do I do? And what I learned was I had to study. So I took my first voiceover class when I was 14 years old. I studied voiceover for 4 years. I studied at an acting conservatory for 2 and improv for 3. That's when I got my first agent. That's when I got my first, did my first demo. And then I had survival jobs for 5 years.
As we all do.
Of course, yeah. I mean, so from first day at my first class where my voice hadn't even changed to a working actor was a 9-year journey.
Yeah. I'd like to say that it took me 10 years to book the really first big voiceover that, I can now say I'm really excited to be a part of, but that's how it goes. I think people don't really understand that it can take that long to start.
Well, and also once you have a career make, I booked my first major movie, which was Gremlins back in, I think, 83 or 84. While I was a tour guide at Universal Studios, that's how I paid my bills. And we would be traveling Courthouse Square, which people would recognize also from Back to the Future, but that's where they filmed Gremlins. And I would do these voices of these creatures from that movie, and people would get off my tram and go, if you did that movie, why are you still working here? And I'm like, well, because that movie just came out, I got paid to do it, but I haven't been paid residuals yet, and I'm still trying to, become a full-time working actor. And by the way, I was fired from Universal my last year because I had 32 sick days.
Because you were using them to record?
I was too busy working as an actor, and they said, go, we can't afford to keep you. And I said, what if it stops? And they said, well, then come back. So, no, but actors have to eat. They don't have to pay their bills acting. They just have to pay their bills. Yeah. So when I left Universal, I lived off of my tour guide salary, and I banked 5 years of voiceover. And I realized, oh my God, I had 2 years of living expenses saved up. I didn't know I did. So I said, okay, I can give this 2 years without going broke, paying my bills. And I never had to dip into my savings. I always worked consistently as an actor. I had ups and downs, but I got lucky.
Yeah, you got to save up for the rainy days. What is one of the, besides the Universal job? What's another survival job that you're really grateful you had because it taught you so much? I think this is what really helps shape us as humans too, And
I was a mall Santa Claus during the holidays for 5 years.
Did you want to kill little kids after that?
No, I wanted to kill their parents. I was a licensed massage therapist, which kept me in my house that I'm in right now during the commercial strike of 2000, because I used to go down to the picket line and offer $10 neck massages to striking actors because I just needed to be able to keep paying my mortgage. But I haven't used, that was the last time I ever used, and I wouldn't call that, I used that as a survival job, but I've been very fortunate, Carolina. I've been very, very lucky that I've always lived below my means. If you're an actor, live below your...
Absolutely.
Bought this house when I was still the announcer, the promo guy at Disney Channel. And they were going to take a contract for 2 more years. When I closed escrow, they changed their mind. And then we had a commercial strike. So people who think, oh, once you get to a certain place in your career, it's coasting. No, I work harder to stay where I'm at than I ever worked to get to where I'm at.
That's incredible. Well, I was just thinking about the video game strike because that's the first email I received from you. I don't know if you're currently with A3 or not, but I think that, were you with them ever?
I was with them when they were Abrams for about an hour and a half.
Oh, got it. In that hour and a half, you emailed me once because I am with them, and we were striking video games, and you were sending out information, and I was very grateful to have received it. And that was my first email interaction with you, which you were emailing, thousands of actors, so it's not like email Carolina.
I got a note yesterday from someone who says, "Hey, you and I corresponded in emails a few years ago," and I'm like, "That's like saying we met at Comic-Con." Thank you so much, but I don't know. I can't remember yesterday. I'm not going to remember that, but. I am very active, not as active as I used to be, because I used to be on the boards of SAG-AFTRA and SAG-AFTRA, but I still negotiate. I've been chairing the animation contract negotiations forever, for maybe 10, 15 years. So I do have my hands a little bit dirty.
Well, wondering about the strike, just connecting it to video game work and the exertions that we do, I found a tweet where you were mentioning that all the don't think there's another one on my bucket list of characters that you've played, plus the guys currently voicing the others are in damn good hands, ... tonsils. I'm curious about your experience with tonsillitis, strep throat, if you've, just voicing these characters, high or low, has it screwed up your voice at any point? And, how have you overcome these things?
Good question. I did a movie called Fright Night 2 where I was the voice of vampires dying, just getting, stakes in their heart, falling, screaming, etc. And I lost my voice for weeks. And
what was this character sound like? Was it very raspy? Was it very low? What was
loud and think games. It was before games.
Yeah.
But think games. And I just lost my voice, and I went to a throat doctor who was the throat doctor to the stars and gave me what he called vocal hygiene.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting my voice back. I don't audition for 9 out of 10 game auditions because I don't want to damage my voice in the event that I might need full volume, full voice for a McDonald's commercial later that afternoon. It's not worth it. There are no risks really in games, so it's not worth the money. That's double scale. When we did New Looney Tunes, there was a character I did called Gabby Goat. And I did an episode where it was Gabby Goat, Porky, and Sweetie. And our director, who is brilliant, genius, Colette Centerman, love her to death.
Yeah, she's amazing.
So she said, let's do Gabby first, because he was the first of the three in the script to speak. I said, okay.
Gabby talks like this. Hey, Porky, how are you?
We finished Gabby, and she goes, let's go to Tweety. And I said, we might have a problem.
Oh my God.
And Colette, bless her, she goes, let's get him some throat coat. I got some throat coat. I went, yeah, not working. So I said, okay, when we have this casting situation, can we do the lighter voices first and save Gabby for the end? And as you know, as a game performer, these directors are wonderful. They will know to save the screaming until the end. They're also, if you need a break, do you need to take 5? It's up to the actor. When we did Space Jam 2, I did hundreds of promo lines. If you guys go to Twitter, Tweety's Twitter page, you'll see lots of one-liners. I recorded thousands of those. I had to give myself...
Wait, Tweety has a Twitter page?
He has a Tweety.
Of course he does.
Little one-liners. And I found myself, I would do each line 3 ways. You know, it's just like you do a game.
Yeah, yeah.
And I found myself after a page, I need a break. It's hot. My booth is hot. I need at least a minute or 2 to catch my breath. So the moral of the story is actors must speak up. It's not unprofessional to say, I need a sip, I need a break, I need to stretch my legs. You speak up. So that's a throaty situation that happened with Looney Tunes, and I just say no a lot. I don't care. I don't need to do this.
You found a place for the ones that you do the most to properly place them, or is it inevitable?
Like when I do my kid voice, I think if I did like 4 hours straight,
I might hit some problems. I haven't yet done a 4-hour session in that voice, but I know that something happens where is there ever a voice that just can't be placed safely, and it's going to inevitably like cause a little pain?
The answer is yes, and the reason is because I don't care how much training you've had from speech specialists, from specialists who work with voices and singing and from the diaphragm, from all that crap. When you have a director who says, no, louder, I want your glass break. This is the 10,000-foot death scream. This is the 15,000-foot death scream. This is, no.
And when I do little voices like that, I can do that all day. Doesn't hurt at all.
Porky doesn't hurt. Tweety doesn't hurt. Marvin doesn't hurt. None of those voices cause stress to the point where at the end of the day I'm tired.
Yeah.
Porky's screaming hurts. And
Yeah.
Porky's a 2-year-old schoolgirl. I mean, Porky just has this real, I'm not going to do it for you right now.
Yeah.
But
The screech.
yeah, and so again, we have really great, knowledgeable directors who know to save that stuff for the end.
Yeah. You mentioned that you called Mel Blanc when you first moved to LA. Did you get through, and did he answer? And what was that experience like?
And I recorded the conversation. It's on my website. It's illegal. Don't do that. It's a story I've told a million times, but long story short, I had a stack of phone books that my dad collected all over Southern California. I looked for Mel Blanc. I looked for M. Blanc. Couldn't find it. Then I looked under his wife's name, Estelle. I found an E. Blanc, the Pacific Palisades. I'm in my parents' bedroom on their phone. In the kitchen, I had the kitchen receiver on my tape recorder. And I kept going back and forth, hanging up record, until I found the real person. And I did. He was lovely. He was very nice. But I wouldn't take no for an answer. Because he said, it's really hard to get into. How old are you? I said, I'm 14. He goes, it's a really hard business. And I said, do you need an agent? So I was so laser focused. And during the course of the conversation, he mentioned the name of a studio he was working at that week. He didn't say the day at the time, but he mentioned the name. So after I was done with him, I called the studio and I pretended to be his assistant. And I said, hi, I'm just calling to confirm Mr. Blank's appointment for this week. And I made this completely up. I said, so we'll see you Thursday at 9. And they're like, no, we have him on the books for Wednesday at 11. I went, you're right. It's wrong date. I'm sorry. So I said to my mom, skipping school Wednesday. And we're going to watch Mel Blanc.
You were brilliant.
I was a stalker.
You are. Oh, yes. Creepy, but brilliant.
So my mom said, cool. So we got to the studio that day. And I told the receptionist, hi, we're guests of Mel Blanc. He said we could watch. And she said, oh, he's right in there. I said, thank you. And I walked in there and I said to his producer, because he was on the other side of the glass, I said to his producer, hi, we're really good friends with the receptionist. And she said we could watch. And she said, oh, have a seat. So that's how I got to watch him work.
Playing all sides. Look at that.
Yeah.
Incredible. So then when you booked the voice of Porky, this was a lifelong dream since you were a tiny, tiny person. Who did that phone call and how did you go, oh my God, You booked it.
Really, it's such a good question. I had just bought my first condo, and my mom was house sitting for me, and I was at a voiceover session. She was waiting for a couch to be delivered, and she took the phone call from my agent to let me know that I booked the first job, which was Tiny Toon Adventures. And it was really cool for my mom to get that phone call because since I was 5, I was like, I'm going to be Porky Pig. So and my Jewish mother got the phone call, which was fabulous, which was great. So that was the first gift.
That's freaking amazing. Holy cow. I want to ask you about Ridley Jones.
Okay.
You posted recently that it's one of the most special projects that you've worked on, or something along those lines, or that you feel very proud to be a part of this project. And you've worked on a ton of things. What about this is so special to you? Why do you think it's so beautiful?
2 words. Chris Nee.
Tell me more. I've been reading articles about Chris.
Chris Nee. And if you just look at Chris's body of work, you are going to see a person who's not doing this just to pay the bills, who is doing quality work. I mean, if you look at Chris's, from, Doc McStuffins and all the new stuff that she's doing for Netflix, it's not just let's spew crap to kids. It's quality writing. The music is sensational. It is so much. It's a joy to work on. When words are really good, they act themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I tell you how I got the job?
I would love all of your stories.
Okay, so before I do that, because this is a live broadcast, I have to do this. Alexa, turn on Bob's Office fan. Okay. Modern technology and live broadcast. Okay, because it's warm. So I was in Santa Barbara on a weekend little getaway at a beach resort, and I get this email from my agent, last minute audition, needs to be done today. And I said, no problem. I always travel with my travel equipment. I forgot the cords. So I literally took I called my agent. I said, can I read this first thing Monday morning? No, it's due today. So I literally held my iPad over my head and recorded it in the little built-in mic and read the lines like this. And that's Ridley Jones.
And that's Ridley Jones.
So the moral of the story, kids, is, you know what? They want a great performance. They want a great character. They don't necessarily need it to be perfect as you can. But I emailed the audition back to myself to hear it in my studio speakers, and it sounded fine.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, again, they're listening for the performance. If it's totally terrible and it's like, and I can't hear you, then you go, But absolutely, that's a really good. We want to do it on proper equipment, obviously, but if you can't.
Yeah. But you know what? It was so last minute today because they can't. Hey, this is due in 20 minutes. So you're driving around, you pull over, you pull out your smartphone, and you record it right there. If you want to compete. If you don't want to compete, then you don't do it. But everybody has to do it that way today.
Yeah, more and more there's all these last minute ones because the pandemic, and we're supposedly always home and not doing much. So,
but even before the pandemic, that is just the speed and the nature of this business. That's because of the internet, not the pandemic.
True. So, were you a fan of Star Wars before you started working on all the million iterations as Luke and probably a ton of other characters?
Well, I'd seen it, but I never memorized it. So I will tell you that the first time they held auditions for Luke Skywalker for a game, which I think was Rogue Squadron, I turned it down because I said to my agent, I can't do Mark Hamill. That's not in my wheelhouse. And my agent said, okay, I'll tell them. And she called me back and she said, they still want to see it. I said, okay. So I go to Screen Music, which is now, I go to, it's now Studiopolis. It was Screen Music back then. And I said, I can't do Mark Hamill. And they said, don't do Mark Hamill, do Luke Skywalker, play the character. I went, oh, okay. And then they played me pre-Jedi and post-Jedi Luke. And they said, look, your timbre is in the right range, but it's not about being this actor, it's about being this character. So, there's pre-Jedi Luke who's kind of whiny, and he's just, he's got this cadence about him. And then there's post-Jedi Luke, who gets a little bit more focused. He still has this intonation. He still has the most same cadence, but may the force be with you. There's more confidence. So I ended up booking the first job, but I told my agent, I will not say yes until you clear it with Mark's agent or Mark that if he wants it, it's not mine. I won't do that. And at that time in his career, he didn't want it. Great. So that's how I got my first Star Wars project. To this day, I'm doing a show called The Bad Batch, where I play a very different character. I play Lama Su, who's very cold and calculated and very. You don't know you don't know what he's thinking, and by the way, neither do I. So that was what makes it such a perfect performance.
He's looking for a bathroom. That's what's happening.
Actually, he's not looking for a bathroom. I don't know what he's looking for. And I don't look. I can't tell a good Star Wars movie from a bad one because I like them all. You know, I've gone to some of these sequels where people are like, "Ew, isn't that terrible?" I'm like, I had fun. Yeah, I mean, there for the ride. You know, so but I don't memorize the franchise. I have to learn how to pronounce names every single time. But I've never had a bad time. From the games to Robot Chicken was a blast because it was farce. You know, it was a comedic take on these characters in this franchise. So I do love working on that franchise.
That's cool. I was going to ask you about Fraggle Rock, and I guess they're just such different experiences. Are they always group records where you get to play off of other people, or does Fraggle Rock, was that just isolated you doing your thing?
Fraggle Rock was ensemble. It was the entire cast, I think, for as many episodes. I mean, sometimes you're not available for the whole group. Yeah. With technology and as time, look, what happened was when Fraggle Rock was on the air, we had 3 networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, doing Saturday morning cartoons. And I think networks might have been in its infancy. Nickelodeon was in its infancy. Today, there's so much content, so many platforms. Everybody's crazy busy. So you can't necessarily get everybody together. Add COVID to that, and I'm recording most of my stuff solo all by myself. And it's a good director and editor who knows how to put the puzzle together. For Bad Batch, we did have a few sessions where the whole cast was there on Zoom so we could work off of each other because acting is reacting. I've never done a feature where I've worked off with the other actors, ever. I did The Emperor's New Groove, where I played a squirrel. And Patrick Warburton played Kronk, and he and I have never been in a soundstage together. We got great chemistry. But God, that's so
funny.
Good director, and that's good editing. But I much prefer if I have the opportunity to work with my fellow actors.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides Porky, what would you say is one of your most fun characters to do because it is so outlandish or strange or different to a lot of the things that you have insane range, but I think there's some favorites that we have just because something about their voice is, just really fun. Or the way they react to things is just so different to Bob. It's more fun for that.
People will say, often ask me, what character haven't you done that you'd like to do? And I'm like, I don't know. It hasn't been offered to me yet. So to create it. I did like that squirrel. That squirrel was fun. Yeah. Because that squirrel didn't speak English. Kronk translated squirrel. And what I would do, I would read Patrick's lines when he's translating in squirrel language. So if Patrick was going to say, he's saying that down that long dusty road is an ugly llama. I will read that in Bucky and I'll say, so from a creative standpoint, it's fun. Yeah. Because the only limitations I have is what I put on myself, and I don't put any on myself. And the director might say, I like that read. Can you do it again in some way? Can you let us know that the llama also smells bad? Sure. Got it. Thank you. Can you give us one where you said that llama down the road is kind of scary to you? So even just making sounds, you have to know. So that's why it's called. No matter what the creature is, no matter what it is you're playing, you still have to be able to not only emote but adjust your acting to what the director, the producer, the writers need from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why emphasis on the acting part, right? The voices, we can try an impression of somebody and it's fine, but we really have to connect to that, the soul of the character. Do you have any interesting stories of Walla groups or loop groups where you discovered a character that you're like, oh, I'm gonna put that in my back pocket for something? Or those are such interesting spaces to have fun with and create.
Well, voiceover is not a cold read, it's a frozen read. I mean, sometimes there is zero preparation. I was working on, it was either Hunchback of Notre Dame or Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. I don't remember which one. But they asked me, hey, Bob, can you go up to the mic and do the horse? I said, does he talk? Does he have lines? No, he makes a horse who's whinnying but stuck in the mud and in distress. You can do that, right? Okay. So you get up to the mic, and ADR is where you're working the picture. And I don't know why or how it came out of me, but at the right time, I went. I'd never done that sound in my life. I'd never done that voice in my life, but thank God for pressure.
You're like, I gotta do it.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, is there ever a moment where you have, I'm sure you get called in often for, hey, we wrote this character, you did an audition. You come in with an idea of what you're going to do. Obviously, they're going to tell you if they like it or not. I've worked with Fred Tatasciore where he's like, they booked as this character, right? And so he's like, well, I was thinking he was going to sound like this. And they're like, actually, no, he's more evil. Oh, okay. And so basically I'm watching an audition happen, even though he's already got the job, right? So they're cycling through what they want with this.
Right.
And has there ever been a moment where you're like, shit, I'm running out of ideas, or I've given you a ton and it's not working? How do I turn this around?
Well, first of all, you got to take the pressure off yourself as an actor, because this is why God created the director. So if it's something you didn't audition for, and and that creative process happens on the spot. So they'll show you a picture, big fat underbite like this. Okay, so you take the picture and you start working with that. You got a great big smile and maybe a wrinkle right here, and it looks like he's got a little mutton chop here, so it looks like he's got an old character. He's from the South, and we're starting great here. And so you start to read halfway through the script, and you get to a line where you're like, oh, wow, this is so exciting. All of a sudden you found a place that the character lived that you didn't start with. So the director will be, great, that's him. We're going to finish the show and go back and do the script from the beginning because you just found him.
You just found it.
It's collaborative. They know you didn't audition for it. They just know that you're capable of doing it. So you try, and by the way, let's say they animate it and they realize not what we want. They might call in another actor to replace you, or they might call you back in and say, you know what, we think he's a little bit too aggressive, too gravelly, he might be scary for the kids.
So can you make him a little bit less threatening?
Sure. And all you do is do an ADR matching the sing.
Yeah. Do you also sing?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, if anybody saw the cartoon Fraggle Rock, dance your cares away, worries for another day. Everything I've ever had to do, be it a theme song or albums. I was just told in my next Ridley Jones session,
Mr. Peabody, I'm so excited. This is my first song. I'm feeling just so giddy with joy that I get to sing to those Joneses.
Were you a trained singer and you knew how to sing, or it's one of those things where you're like, I learned how to sing in character?
I sing great in character. My natural voice sucks on ice. I did a show years ago called Sinbad, it came out about the same time as Aladdin, and I played Sinbad. And at the end of our first session, they handed us sheet music, and Melissa Disney was my co-star. And I said, well, what is this for? And they said, your song. I said, which song? They said, oh, you sing at the end of every show with Melissa, sort of like Aladdin's A Whole New World. Okay, great. I don't see sheet music here. I see little lines with little ants crawling all over. I don't read music. Oh, you don't? I said, and I was very upfront. I said, you did not audition me singing. And Melissa, who is a brilliant singer, she literally took my hand. She said, I got you. Don't worry, I just followed my lead. I got you. And I was sweating bullets, and we sounded great together. And that was before auto-tune. Okay?
Wow.
Hey, with auto-tune, they can make us all sound great.
Yeah. Thank you for telling me all this. I can carry tunes, and my normal voice is fine.
I think in character it's way more fun.
But I've sometimes gone, I'm going to turn that audition down because, you know, Disney and Pixar, they're casting Justin Timberlake to sing for Trolls. How would they cast me? But the character is what brings stuff to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easier to sing in character than your natural voice.
For sure.
I will also tell you that I had a lot of really well-trained professional singers in my class who have a difficult time doing it in character because it feels wrong and they're afraid to damage what they make a living doing in theater at night.
Yeah. Okay. So there's hope for us non-singers in character.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes I've had trouble finding wanting it to sound semi-pretty in the character. It's like, geez, sometimes, or like when I have to die with a certain accent, I'm like, ugh. Which brings me to accents with you. Have you ever also had to, all of a sudden they're like, hey, so this guy's German, and you're like, oh, cool, I didn't know, I will make up German right now? Like, have you made up an accent and it works, and then you kind of like work it a little more later on to perfect it?
If they want authentic today, they're going to go to the authentic actor.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's a cartoon where, whether it's an accent dialect or let's say it's a celebrity reference, and I don't know how to do either. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'll fake a sneeze. I just faked a sneeze. I will fake a sneeze. They will say bless you. I know it's just hitting you, but I just faked that sneeze.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I will fake a sneeze. They'll say bless you. I'll excuse myself. I'll say, guys, can I just take a moment? I will go outside with my smartphone and look at YouTube and just type in German accent and listen to it and come back in. If the reference is Owen Wilson, I'll type in Owen Wilson, listen and come back in. So because of technology today, I can do on-the-spot research. I'm terrible at accents and dialects. If they want pseudo, I can do. So they want German, I can do sort of a pseudo-German. But if you're from Germany, you're going to go, oh, that is so stupid. That's so you should do the mime, not the German. But, you know, I've also auditioned where they say we're looking for East Coast kind of a Connecticut sort of gaslight sort of New England thing. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to be caricature. If that's what they want, that's what they don't want, they won't hire me. But today's audition is an insurance policy for another. So they like your work, but you don't get it for whatever reason, they're going to like you and remember you.
Absolutely. Good tidbits, good tricks of the trade, people. Are you paying attention? But yes, that's something I've definitely learned is, you know, if I've never auditioned for this casting director, I'm going to put my best voice forward, best character forward, even if I don't think I'm right for it, because it's them getting to see my work in another. Yeah. Oh, Corn Relish is here. She's saying, Bob, hi.
Hi.
From Voice Chasers.
Oh, hi.
Her screen name is Corn Relish, so it's very, very funny. What is one of your favorite fan interactions at a con that was just incredibly unexpected, or something that stuck with you? We have a lot of fan interactions, but
Hack the planet.
something that you go, oh, that day was magical because of what they said.
Well,
how it affected them.
There's magical and there's memorable. I posted about this. I was at San Diego Comic-Con and this very tall, no-face cosplay dude came up to me and he said, "Can I take a picture of my no-face head eating your face, eating your head?" I said, "Sure." And day 3 of Comic-Con smells very different than day 1. I'm just gonna, okay? So he gets here, and I'm seeing him, and he's seeing me, and he's dripping all over me, and it smells really bad, and it's really hot, and he got stuck.
No.
And he got stuck there for like 15, 20 minutes, and he finally was able to stand up, but I smelled like him for the rest of the day and the rest of my panels. And I was like, okay, I've got to find a time where I can get his essence off of me. And I didn't want to hurt his feelings because he was so sweet and he didn't mean it and he felt so bad. But I was the guy that smelled like onions from panel to panel. That was
How long were you guys stuck together?
10 to 15 minutes, I think. Yeah,
Wait. I need to understand this. His head was over some contraption was over your head?
My head was inside his mouth, his no-face mouth.
Ew.
Yeah. And
I am so sorry.
He couldn't straighten up. He just could not, because it was a very tall, stilty looking thing, and he could not stand up. So, yeah, that was memorable. And I was like saying to people, don't come near me. Don't come near me.
Okay, let's find a magical one. Because that was memorable, but not magical. There's someone.
You know what? A magical one. It's watching the fans interact with you as if you're the Beatles. Because before band conventions, I didn't know if anybody watched the work I did. I didn't know if anybody knew who I was.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick, okay? My very first Comic-Con, I'm wearing a Porky Pig tie. And I'm walking down the exhibit hall looking at all the trinkets being sold. And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Are you a Porky Pig fan?" I said, "Kinda." He goes, "I got something you might want." And I go back to his booth and he's selling autographs. And he goes, "You got one of these?" It was a signed picture by me. And I said, "I actually kind of sort of do." And he goes, "You don't need it." I said, "What? No, I don't need it." And he looks at the picture and looks at me and he goes, "Listen." He goes, "Oh my God." I said, "I'm kind of curious. What does that go for?" He goes, "You can have it." And I said, "Oh, no. I don't want it. I've got a picture. What do I go for?" And he goes, 25? I said, "No, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just kind of curious." So I started going through his bins and I found my buddy Bill Farmer, who's the voice of Goofy. And he's going for 20. So I called him up and I said, "Dude, I'm $5 more than you."
So this guy had bought autographs from you at some point and was reselling them at his booth.
Well, listen, I was at the premiere of Space Jam. I posted tons of pictures of me signing posters. And I'm like, those are going to go on eBay because they got me and they got Jeff Bergman, they got Candy Milo, they got everybody. So, God bless. And I was happy to do it. I don't care.
Yeah. It's your beautiful signature, and hopefully it's helping them pay some bills, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Sometimes I stand in my own line at Comic-Con and tap on somebody and go, "Hey, so what's her deal? Why is she late?" "I don't know. I heard she's kind of a bitch." "No, I hope she's nice. I really like Sombra." Yeah. And then and if he doesn't notice, I'll move up. "Sorry, I'm going to move through." And they're like, "Hey," and then they're like, "Oh," I like to screw with them like that.
We're there for 3 days. You got to have fun.
Bob, so is there any projects coming out that you would love to let this lovely chat know about, that they can keep an eye out for?
I can talk about?
You can talk about, of course.
Disney Plus is finishing up The Bad Batch first season. I don't know if there's a season 2, but my fingers are crossed. I just signed on to do 2 new Looney Tunes series, so there'll be lots more Pig in my future.
Awesome.
I've got NDAs for a billion things that I can't talk about.
Okay.
I don't respect the NDA. It's not that we don't want to talk about it, we just can't.
We can't.
So,
we'll get fired.
Don't ask us questions. "Hey, what can you tell us about so-and-so?" Because we can't. We can't. I'll tease when I can, but we're finishing up the HBO Max Looney Tunes shorts.
Awesome.
I've got a DreamWorks series I'm working on. I've got a Nickelodeon show I just did. I'm busy.
So many things. He's busy. Danny, who takes care of this, you met her earlier, will put your Instagram on the chat so that they can follow and be up with what you're doing.
Yes, I need growth in my.
Yeah, for sure. Can you help me shout out the people who have subscribed as we chatted today?
Wow.
Yeah, I usually ask my guests to in a funny voice thank them. So we have a resubscription from Tam Street today.
Tam Street? Thank you.
Yeah. We have another resubscription from Jigsaw 051.
Oh, Jigsaw 051. You big old Jigsaw.
Cheering 100 bits was Positive Vibes.
Who's that?
Positive Vibes.
Oh, Positive Vibes. I'm going to blow up Positive Vibes. It obstructs my view of Venus.
I love it. There are 3 more. Billy Kunn also cheered 300 bits. So brilliant. Corn Relish, Voice Chasers, thank you for being here, has subscribed again.
I'm a chicken hawk and I really like corn relish. Are you corn relish or are you a dog?
This is so brilliant. We've got a subscription from Lemon Grab 69.
Yeah, lemon grab 69. That sounds healthy.
And holy cow, Corn Relish just gave out 10 community gift subs. Let's thank her again, please.
Who's this?
Corn Relish, yet again.
Oh.
Corn relish. The best stuff on a hot dog. The best stuff on a hamburger. And the best stuff on my heart. Thanks, corn relish.
She says it's Christy, Bob. It's Christy.
Oh, Christy. Christy can call me. I mean,
I know, but she's here watching. I don't like to say names, Corn Relish, because I don't know if you want your persona out there, so I try and keep it vague. But thank you, Christy. You're amazing.
Christy, I miss you. I miss you. Oh, I haven't seen Christy in so long. I miss you, Christy.
I know, she's incredible. Guys, this is the end of our awesome stream. Bob, thank you so much for joining us with all of your characters and your brilliance. And guys, keep booming and booping. Boop.